So, welcome Harry from Chainlink Labs or Chainlink, I don't know the difference, but you will introduce yourself. Harry is a member of Chainlink, which is a big Oracle provider, one of the largest, or the largest actually. And Etherisk and Chainlink have been collaborating on oracles for a very long time. And actually the first flight delay insurance was already driven by Chainlink. And so both Etherisk and Chainlink has made big progress in the last few years. And so we are very curious what you have to tell us and how this will impact insurance in the next few years. Thank you, Harry, for having us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm just going to get straight into it. Let's see if this is working. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe I have to be a little bit close. So my name's Harry. I work at Chainlink Labs, and I am the head of the developer relations team there. And I was very excited to come here and talk today because on-chain insurance or parametric insurance or whatever you want to call it is something that for me I'm very passionate about, as in it's a very good use case for blockchain technology and smart contracts. I think we see a lot of ideas being thrown around in the industry of what we can do with this technology, and a lot of it's not so great in my opinion. But if you actually search for my name and take a look back at 2020, you'll see I actually wrote a blog post on how you can enable parametric insurance using blockchain technology. So I was a very big believer in it back then, and I still am a big believer in using the technology for this very applicable use case today. And so what I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to talk about, I think most people here have already heard today from some of the great talks about the value proposition of on-chain insurance, but I'll talk about the Oracle problem and what are the requirements for on-chain parametric insurance and some of the ways in which Chainlink helps to enable this today. Okay, so I guess a lot of you have probably heard a lot about this today already from some of the great talks, but for me, the thing that resonates the most with enabling this type of on-chain insurance is the fact that it can replace a lot of the manual work done today. It's very data-driven. It requires data generally to be able to enable this type of on-chain insurance. The smart contracts themselves replace the traditional digital agreements that we use today with this certain type of insurance. And as we just heard from our friends at Lemonade, the claims process is so much better than having to wait and see if a person or a team is going to approve your claim or not. And I'm sure we've all been in those situations where things have not been approved and we wish they would. And before I go on, I just want to also add, a lot of people say to me when I talk about these types of things, why would insurance, how is this ever going to take off? Why would companies enable a claim to be processed automatically or quickly instead of having more control? And I guess the way I see things is that in a capitalist world, things that are better for the end user or give them a better experience or a cheaper experience usually ends up winning in the long term. And we see this a lot of times with things like Netflix, the replacement of music with music streaming, Uber Eats. As soon as someone finds a way to do something that's scalable and gives people a better option to have a better experience, that usually ends up becoming the way that world works. But for now, let's talk about on-chain insurance and how Chainlink fits into that. So, as some of you may or may not know, blockchains are this really cool piece of technology that enable these really amazing things to happen, and they're very secure and reliable, but they're kind of limited in what they can do. They can't actually see outside the black box that is the blockchain. And to have advanced applications such as on-chain parametric insurance, you need to be able to look outside of the data in the blockchain. And so that's like one major problem that is a big blocker for many types of on-chain applications. And it's kind of called the oracle problem because you need what's called an oracle to tell the blockchain something about the outside world. You need to tell it what the weather is in Bangkok today, what the price of Bitcoin is today, or what how much rainfall has been in, some place today. So what Oracle networks like Chainlink do is they actually provide off-chain connectivity to smart contracts. So if you're a smart contract, you can actually request and see what the weather is in Bangkok today. You can do it from multiple sources, multiple external weather APIs, and then you can come to some consensus about what the result is. And I'll talk about that consensus in a minute. Another example is you can look up multiple flight APIs, see whether flight delays have occurred, and then come to consensus on whether something should be done about that or not. And the way Chainlink works with its consensus is that it is one of the only Oracle solutions that has what I call aggregated consensus off-chain, in that it's still deterministic. Everything will always be recalculated in the same way. However, Chainlink can take multiple different facts about the outside world and then decide on what the final result should be. And that's a very big difference between Chainlink and a blockchain, because a blockchain needs to all have the same inputs in the same state to reach an output in terms of being deterministic, whereas Chainlink can take a weather in Bangkok today of 31, 32, 31.5, 31.1, and it can put them together and then work out and say, okay, the weather today in Bangkok is 31.3 or something like that. So in terms of what is generally required for these parametric insurance smart contracts is you need off-chain connectivity. You need to be able to connect to external data sources to define out data for your smart contract. You need to define the parameter and the conditions for which your smart contract is going to pay out the user, taking out the insurance contract. It obviously needs to be deployed on chain. And then also you need some way to automate the conditions in which the smart contract or insurance contract gets checked against the parameter. There's no point in having this highly secure, decentralized solution if you're then relying on one person or server or someone going, okay, I'm going to check every day, every month, and then if the parameter gets met, then you'll get paid. So in terms of defining parameters, it obviously depends on what type of insurance it is. I've listed some examples here specific to crop insurance, like we heard from our friends at Lemonade earlier, but examples could be temperature, snowfall, flight delays, wind, all various sorts of parameters. But the way I see it, this type of insurance is basically an if this happens, then this happens type scenario, where the second one is a form of a payment that is made. So it's a case of getting some kind of external data, checking against the condition for which the contract is defined, and then working out if a payment needs to be made. So let's talk about how Chainlink enables all of this stuff. So it basically boils down to three things, in my opinion. And the first one is that getting data problem that I talked about earlier. So Chainlink has this product called Chainlink Functions, which is actually really cool, because as a smart contract, you can essentially run JavaScript or TypeScript code, which has the ability to call external APIs. So a smart contract cannot call external APIs, as I said earlier. It cannot do certain things, a lot of things actually, but you can pass through some JavaScript into your smart contract, and the Chainlink Oracle network can then pick that up and say, okay, I'm going to run this JavaScript across multiple nodes. This JavaScript maybe reaches out to multiple different weather APIs and checks what the weather today is in Bangkok. And then they'll all come to consensus to form a final result. And that final result is then sent back to the smart contract to potentially check to see if a claim can be made or not. So what it really enables is the ability to have API connectivity, to do custom computation off-chain, and generally do a lot of the things that you can't do on-chain right now, but to still do it in a decentralized and highly secure manner because of the Chainlink Oracle network that's running that code. So really, at a high level, it's basically the ability to run serverless functions directly from your smart contract. If this interests you, or if you're a developer and you want to play around, we've got this thing called the Functions Playground, where you can start building out examples of JavaScript code and then simulate the output of that JavaScript. So you don't actually have to start using Chainlink functions directly from your smart contracts. You can play around with it in a GUI as well. If you just go to our docs to functions, you'll see it linked there as well. But here's a little bit of a screenshot that shows how you can build up your JavaScript and input and output parameters and things like that. And you can set all kinds of secrets and things and play around and build up your function there. But if you're looking to get external data onto a smart contract, especially in the context of insurance, this is the perfect way to do that, basically. Okay, let's talk about the checking of the conditions in these insurance contracts. So, like I said earlier, you can't just rely on the company or the person to just check for you every day or every month or depending on conditions. In an ideal world, that should also be automated in a highly secure and decentralized manner too. And we have this thing called Chainlink automation that does that, where it uses the same Chainlink networks to basically execute smart contract functions based on certain conditions, so that you're not relying on a person or a company to do these things for you. So imagine if you need to check rainfall in certain areas every day, you could set up a automation job that does this for you, and then you pay your fee, you set it to run, and then it will check every day. And you can use different triggers to trigger this as well. You can do time-based triggers. You can set custom logic, such as if the wallet balance in this account is more than X, then execute the condition. Or you can do it based on log events on the blockchain. As events get emitted, that can be the trigger for running a smart contract function as well. I won't dig too deep into the architecture, but basically it uses the same Chainlink Oracle networks that power, data feeds functions and cross-chain all of our other products as well. But the thing to note here is that once again, it's highly secure and reliable, so that if you set up an automation job to check a condition or to run a function based off a trigger, you have 100% guarantee that it's going to happen in the exact way that you want it to happen. And the last piece of the puzzle in how Chainlink generally fits into insurance is cross-chain as well now. So back in 2020, 2021, cross-chain was not really a thing. Everything was done on Ethereum. But now we are clearly in the hundreds or thousands of chains landscape now, where there's more blockchains popping up than DevCon side events here. So a lot of companies and protocols are enabling cross-chain functionality in their applications because users use multiple chains. They want to pay on one chain and receive payments on other chains. And if you have a protocol and you want to get as much liquidity and users and clients as possible, a lot of people are considering making their applications cross-chain. And so what Chainlink CCIP enables is for you to be able to have a smart contract on one chain and have it talk or send tokens to another chain. So imagine your contract for your insurance protocol could be on Ethereum, the most decentralized and secure network of them all, but then maybe the payment or payouts occur on a different chain or an L2 because of the cheaper fees or something like that. So you can imagine all kinds of scenarios there. And I'm not going to get into the weeds too much on CCIP because, as you see, it's a pretty complicated beast. But I'm happy to chat with anyone about it after if you want to. And so really, with these three things, it becomes obvious that Chainlink is really a really great platform for enabling on-chain parametric insurance, because through the use of functions, it enables insurance protocols to get external data into their smart contracts, which is needed for parametric insurance. It enables the automation of checking the conditions for whether the insurance smart contracts need to do a payout via Chainlink automation. And it enables cross-chain communication between contracts where you can pay and receive payments, or you can have the insurance protocol across multiple chains via the use of CCIP. Okay, where to next? If this interests you and you're a technical person and you want to dig deeper on some of these things, I really encourage you to check out our documentation. It's pretty comprehensive, and there are a lot of examples from simple to advanced for each of the things that I talked about. If you're a developer or you're hacking at ETH Global this weekend, we are sponsoring. We do have a whole bunch of prizes actually for CCRP and anything other than CCRP. And insurance protocols, we do see them get built at these hackathons too, and we do like seeing them because, once again, I think it's a perfect use case for the technology here. So if you're interested in hacking, I encourage you to think about how you can create something using Chainlink potentially in the insurance space. If you want to be engaged with more developer content on some of the things I've talked about today, we have a dev hub at dev.chain.link that has a whole bunch of video, blogs, content to help educate you on more of this stuff. And yeah, finally, you can follow us on Twitter. And we have some jobs open too. If you're interested in joining, please check us out at Chainlink Labs. And if you're on Twitter, I'd love to follow you and interact with you as well. So feel free to follow me on Twitter, and I'm happy to speak with you more then. But other than that, I think that's all I had. So thank you so much for having me, and looking forward to the rest of the conference, and hope everyone has a great rest of their DevCon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harry.